Harry's Wife. Part 102.83.4. Bombshell. Variety interview. She cannot stay quiet. Part 4. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, enabling you to understand so much more as I explain to you what's really going on with Harry's wife's behaviour in having the interview, and also with the answers that she gives to help you understand more about her and, of course, just as importantly, about narcissism generally. As a consequence of my own knowledge about myself, my insight into my own behaviours, and the many years that I have spent watching, interacting with, manipulating, observing, responding to, crushing my kind, it's enabled me to understand so much about the way that the narcissist mind works. And it puts you in the joyous position of being able to receive all of this information whilst being entertained without putting yourself in any danger whatsoever. It's like going and observing the lions at the zoo without having to get into their enclosure. Let's go back to the interview and learn what else Harry's wife has to say. Question posed: would you ever consider going back to acting? No, I'm done. I guess never say never, but my intention is to absolutely not. Well, quite extraordinary example of compartmentalization at its finest. No, I'm done. I guess never say never, but my intention is to absolutely not. So basically, I'm finished it, although you can never say never, I guess, and I'm intending not to do so, open brackets, but you never know what might happen. Now, in a sense, some people would say that, but if you're determined never to go back to acting, you can say so. I'm retired, and no, I'm not going to do it. But with Harry's wife, of course, not that it matters, but ultimately, if somebody came along to her tomorrow and said, we'll pay you a huge amount of money for playing yourself in the Windsors, or for playing yourself in the Crown, she would go, yeah, I'll take that, because it'll not only enable her to spout more of a nonsense to fit with her narrative, but it'll also enable her, of course, to receive considerable residual benefits. As you know, with the narcissist, nothing's set in stone other than our pursuit of the prime aims. What we say now, by lunchtime, has disappeared into the ether and we can do something completely different, having undertaken a complete 180. We can say at 9 a.m, I love you. At 9:15, I hate you. At 9:30, I love you, and I never said that I hated you. That is the compartmentalization of the narcissism and why it's such mindfuckery for our victims. Here, in just a short sentence or two, she demonstrates that lack of accountability, the need to always have that mobility, and it is in effect what is known as the narcissist conditional asterisk. Please watch my video of that name if you would like to learn more. Going through the process you did with the monarchy and then becoming a private citizen again, are those institutions similar? What's this, a private citizen with a title? I don't know many of those. Every business has a model. I worked for NBC Universal and the USA Network, and that was all part of a very large organisation. Bonnie Hammer was my mentor. Well, at least she's consistent in that respect, because she did talk about Bonnie Hammer being an inspirational woman for her when she was interviewed for 6.5 years ago by AOL. Very early on in Suits, oh, that again. Very much the one-trick pony, isn't it? She took me under her wing, and that was invaluable to me. Talk about a woman who can balance being a mum, creating so much in the industry and having a very strong sense of self. I would sit at breakfast with her, studying what she ordered, hanging on her every word. A little bit of a glitch by the narcissism there, demonstrating that in effect she mirrors her. For me, it was always about being able to find your North Star within that model. What? Find someone who believes in you. As complex as any organisation might be, there is always something in it that I think is positive. It's important to focus on that. Some industries are very different, and yet business models for a lot of things, they have a bottom line. That bottom line needs to be held, I suppose. It's nonsense, isn't it? It's utter beige word salad. So the question was, going through the process you did with the monarchy and then becoming a private citizen again, are those institutions similar? She doesn't even mention the monarchy when she gives her answer. She doesn't even answer it. Instead, she just talks about a business having a model, then takes it back to, you've guessed it, Suits, talks about Bonnie Hammer, engages in character trait acquisition and mirroring, and then yada, yada, yada word salad. What is an ideal project for Archwell? Well, I would imagine that the truthful answer would be doing the square root of fuck all and getting paid shitloads, but I don't suppose she's going to answer it that way, is she? So much of how my husband and I see things is through our love story. I think that's what people around the world connected to, especially with our wedding. Well, I think some people probably did. I didn't, but then I'm a narcissistic psychopath. But other people will have done to begin with. Of course, not everybody did. They actually saw through you, a lot of people, as they've commented as a consequence of the engagement interview. People love love. Oh, fridge magnet platitude. I'm not excluded in that sentiment. Actually, you are, because you have no emotional empathy and therefore you're incapable of love, although you don't realise that. And our definition of love is really expansive. Partner love, self-love, oh yes, the love of community and family. Oh, you just love everybody, don't you? We use that as the baseline of the kind of shows and documentaries we want out there. For my husband, the Invictus Games have been such a huge piece of his life and his work. It's interesting, isn't it? She doesn't say Harry and recognise him in his own right, but it's always that possessiveness. She, of course, thinks that that's quite sweet, referring to him in that way. But to anybody else, we can see that it's possessive. She says, so much of how my husband and I, and for my husband, that possessiveness, he's an object, he's owned by her. For my husband, the Invictus Games have been such a huge piece of his life and his work, having been in the army for 10 years and working for the rehabilitation of wounded vets and their families. We talk about emotional injuries that come from those type of experiences. Those are love stories. For scripted, we want to think about how we can evolve from that same space and do something fun. Right. So from going about wounded veterans and their families and the emotional injuries, we then go talking to fun. She really doesn't have a clue. It doesn't always have to be so serious. Like a good rom-com. Don't we miss them? I miss them so much. I probably watched When Harry Met Sally 1,000,000 times, and all the Julia Roberts rom-coms. We need to see those again. Well, it'd certainly be better than watching anything you're involved in. Anything you don't want on your slate. I don't think you'll ever see us doing a horror film. No, we certainly do not want to see Prince Harry pounding your Punani pavement. What would you say if one of your kids came to you in 10 or 15 years and said, Mum, you're a narcissist and you've ruined my life. Oh, I beg your pardon. What would you say if one of your kids came to you in 10 or 15 years and said, I want a career in entertainment? Probably would go, and I want it now. I would say, great. When you become a parent, you generally want your kids to find the things that bring them complete joy. They're our kids, obviously, and they're part of a legacy and a tradition. Now, that's spoken, of course, like a narcissist, to see your children as an extension of yourself and an extension of your legacy, and a tradition and a family that will have other expectations. But I want them to be able to carve out their own path. If it's the entertainment industry, then good luck. There are so many people that will talk about what opened the door for my children, but it still takes talent and a lot of grit. We're creating multidimensional, interesting, kind, creative people. That's who our kids are. Good Lord. Just let them be kids, I would say. But no, you're creating them. Is it odd as an actor to know that other actors will probably play you in the future? Well, not if there's any fucking sense. I haven't given that much thought, to be honest. Bollocks. It's all weird. You have to compartmentalise. Anyone talking about me or casting an actor to play me, that will be a caricature of me that has been created for a business that makes people a lot of money. So basically, nullifying that threat to control because you don't know me. Once you separate that out, it's much easier to go, okay, that actually has nothing to do with me. It genuinely doesn't. It's a hard lesson to come to grips with. Well, it does have something to do with you because they're playing you on screen. Idiot. What's one piece of advice you'd give an actor 100 years from now who is cast as Harry's wife? I hope that in preparing for that role, she finds the softness and the playfulness and the laughter. Well, she won't do, because she's playing you. The silliness, I just hope she finds the dimensions. Also, she can call me. Yeah. Harry's wife, do you think you're going to be alive at the age of 146? That just shows the grandiosity and magical thinking of this woman. You mentioned you just went back to your high school, Immaculate Heart. I talked to a few of the girls who had just graduated for archetypes. They were so incredible. I was so proud of them. And then I surprised some girls at volleyball practice. What, by not saying anything? I saw my picture in the yearbook that a friend sent me the other day for your senior year portrait. You have to choose a quote to accompany the picture. At 17, I chose Eleanor Roosevelt, who you've regularly plagiarised from in the past, saying, "Women are like tea bags. They don't realise how strong they are until they're in hot water." I don't think I'm a soothsayer, but there is something a little prophetic about that. So basically, you went back to your high school and then started talking about yourself immediately. No surprise there. How important is it to you to be understood by other people? That's a great question. No one has ever asked me that. I can only speak for myself. Oh, no, I thought you'd be speaking for the person sat next to you and the man who lives across the road. But I think feeling understood and seen are really important. That has been a common denominator that has come up in archetypes and the work I do with communities of women. People just want to be seen. That is also where representation comes into play. Yep, more flannel. What is an average work day for you and Harry? Oh, this will be good. Harry, get up around midday, go and smoke some ganja in the garden, play Call of Duty on the Xbox, crack one off in the chicken coop, have something to eat, then wander around looking for crayons and building blocks, supposedly. We share an office. We work from home, as most people started to do during lockdown. It allows us to have significant time with our kids at this really special moment in their lives, such as pissing off to other countries for days on end without seeing them. We'll never get this time back. You won't get any time back. Nobody possesses time machines. I make breakfast and we get the kids set for the day. We do a lot of joint calls and Zooms, but also try to divide what we can focus our energies on so we can accomplish even more. My husband is on a 24-hour time zone, where half of your life is waking up as the other half is going to sleep. It's kind of the reverse of what I went through living in the United Kingdom. He's very good at responding on text. Me, I try to be as fast as possible on email. I've always said if it takes less than 5 minutes, do it now. Thanks for that insight. So that's your average work day, basically doing some calls. That's it. Who takes the most snack breaks? It's funny. People sometimes think we live in Los Angeles, but we're a good 2 hours outside of it. We're commuters. We drove down recently for a day of back-to-back meetings, equipped with chocolate chip cookies the size of my toddler's head. Also, my husband's favourite is In-N-Out. Well, it used to be. He's probably not getting any of that anymore. There's one at the halfway point between LA and our neck of the woods. It's really fun to go through the drive-thru and surprise them. They know our order. So who does take the most snack breaks? You've still not answered the question. And that's the end of it. Fascinating, huh? Bet you feel really enriched for having to have that read to you. In fact, of course, as you know, the only thing that made it tolerable was my dissection of her narcissism and the crap that she's been spouting. Now, what do you draw from all of that? Well, it's all about Harry's wife, but it shows so much. Facade management, assertion of control, settling scores, possessive behaviour towards Harry, and a failure to be interesting. But of course, she must be listened to. She must be seen. She must, of course, set the record straight. Another wasted opportunity to actually ask her some questions which deserve meaningful answers. And so much for talking about mourning. I thought they were going to return to that. It was paid lip service, wasn't it? But that's not a surprise. Now, there's a video that accompanies this, which I'm going to dissect for you and explain in another section. But let's dip below the line. At this point in time, there are 55 comments. INGE, what a great interview with wonderful pictures, thank you. Rachel, what a refreshing read. So great to finally hear from Harry's wife and on her terms, using her voice. Clearly Harry's wife has got in early on the comment section. Gina, love this. Anne, wonderful interview, perfect Harry's wife. Jeffrey, love it. Kim, great interview and pics, love Harry's wife. Heather, a great read. Leslie Wolfe, a rose is still a rose. Now notice with all of those comments, they're just as anodyne as the person about whom they're written. There's no appreciation, no depth to it all, and it's highly likely, I would suggest, given the timings of them, where it looks like they all came out pretty shortly after the interview was launched, 4:39 a.m., 4:51 a.m., 4:52 a.m., 4:53 a.m., 5:02 a.m., 5:08 a.m., 5:09 a.m., 5:27 a.m., that it's probably staged as well. So far, so sugary. But Edeltraud Zernhalt comes in. I just wish she goes away. We see enough of that woman. She is a liar, not truthful. She, of course, Edeltraud is then pounced upon. Tanya Clark, if you want to go away, why are you here literally seeking her out, then requesting she goes away? You sound ridiculous. Brenda Allen, excellent question that has not been answered as the usual way with this personality type. Rebecca, so why did you click on the article? Catherine P. Williams, but you read the article and commented. You are a fan. Lala, such a wonderful interview, Harry's wife. Drew Name King, I wish you'd go away. You're a very hate-filled woman. There we are. Immediately, just because someone expresses that they wanted to go away, that is automatically labelled help. Utterly, utterly tedious. Arlene Elaine Hales. Stop with negative comments. Do you know her? Sugar giveaway there. Just stop with careless words. Why are reading the article if you want her to go away? Speak life and not death in people's lives. Keep shining, Harry's wife. Jay responds to that. Gold digger. Christina, if you pay attention to all the articles you see about her, 99% of them are created to fuel hate by using the opinions of experts and criticising her for doing barely anything. If you look at what she actually does for PR, it's very little. Well, Christina, I'm afraid it's not. Doreen Talma, would you say that if she were a blonde, blue-eyed Englishwoman? It's nothing to do with race, Doreen. Yvonne, I always connected to Harry's wife. She's really caring and curious about people in the world. We need more like her. So happy they moved back to the States and created their life together. Wish them all joy and happiness. Shirley Garnett, this interview with Harry's wife was enlightening. When so much is written about her, hearing her own words is marvellous. She's a girl's girl and delightful. Find all your joy, Harry's wife. Madison, awesome interview and great to hear her in her own words. She is so lovely. Wishing them every happiness. Joyce Anderson, I absolutely love the content about Harry's wife. The fashions were amazing. The conversation was so warm. I love the bit about her children. I love her podcast, Archetypes. These are just cut and paste, aren't they? Jennifer, what a great interview with the beautiful soul. Rose, what a great interview. Arlene Hales, what a beautiful interview. The best one ever. You hear Harry's wife's voice. No, you don't. You're reading it. Bamingo Donatus Benmingo, she's beautiful. Belinda, love this article. I find her so inspirational. Axel, impressive. I love her voice, her words. Juju 1999, I wish the reporter would have asked questions that I'm actually interested in the answers for. This was nothing but beige. Hey! Clearly a reader of my work or a listener to my work. Boring. JP London, vapid. Finally got yourself on the cover of Variety. Congrats, mission accomplished. You're almost a Kardashian now. Small deer jumps in. Shut up. Keep your nastiness to yourself. Paul, the volume of fake comments on her from a bot farm is remarkable. WC, fake plastic, so American. And there is spattering of other, quite clearly, bot comments, all of the same short, what a great interview, she's beautiful, etc. It's so transparent. And that's the way that it has to be. You can see the ones where people are critical of her because they actually write in sentences and the syntax is different. Whereas you see with all of the ones which are generated, which are favourable, they are clearly coming from a copy and paste situation that's been done in order to make her look favourable. But the fact is, most people don't like her. So there's the dissection of the interview for her, which helps you understand a lot more about what's really going on vis-a-vis her narcissism. As ever, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. Share this work as widely as possible. It's very important for people to listen to it and understand from it. And I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.